Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. As you're all aware, the news came out that Skip Bayless will be leaving Undisputed, I think, next month. After 8 years with the network, we've covered it. Various people have discussed this. We've gone over what Skip Bayless's impact has meant to the sports media landscape. Some people are pro-Skip, some people are anti-Skip. All of those different things, right? But one of the people we were waiting to hear weigh in on Skip Bayless being, I guess, fired or his departure from Undisputed was his longtime partner at ESPN, Stephen A. Smith. Now, if you guys remember, initially, the first take with Skip Bayless and Woody Page was called Cold Pizza, then ultimately evolved into First Take, and then ultimately evolved into ESPN First Take. But during the First Take days, there were a lot of guest appearances, kind of like what you see today on ESPN First Take today. You saw Chris Broussard, Rob Parker, Tim Legler, Jalen Rose, and so many other voices. But one of those people you used to see at the time was Stephen A. Smith. He used to be a regular contributor. And then the show just started getting very popular. And then I guess the network approached Skip Bayless to kind of create an entire debate show. And they asked him who would he want to be his debate partner. And he tapped Stephen A. Smith on the shoulder to be his debate partner. And ever since that point forward, you know, the show was already doing very well. And then it just catapulted into the basically into the stratosphere. And it became a very, very popular show. And they were with each other for, I think they were on that show together all the way up till 2000. I don't remember when, 2014 or something like that. They were on the show together. And then ultimately he left and then Max Kellerman came in. So when the news came out, we were waiting to hear what Stephen A. Smith would say, because we had actually produced a show, you know, centered on some comments about whether or not Skip Bayless would go to ESPN and all of that. And then basically an ESPN representative said that ESPN and they're not interested in that. Even ESPN First Take, they're not interested in that they already like the cast that they currently have. Now, if you know anything about ESPN First Take presently, Stephen A. Smith is the executive producer. So I think he took it upon himself to respond to those rumors, given the fact that he's the executive producer. And he has said that he's the one that okays who comes on the show and who doesn't. So yesterday on the Stephen A. Smith show, he was talking about a lot of things. The Republican National Convention, he was talking about Donald Trump, he was talking about other things. And then he got to the point where we were discussing Skip Bayless. And essentially they published about a 15-minute show there about where he was basically responding to those rumors. And he was also talking about the news of Skip Bayless, you know, being let go by Undisputed. And when it came to the time for him to address the idea of them reuniting at ESPN First Take, he viciously shot down that idea and any hopes it ever had of being a real thing. So what we would like to do now is we'd like to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say in terms of Skip Bayless ever being his partner in the future. And then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what Stephen A. Smith had to say there.
Skip Bayless. ESPN did not consult with me. Again, they didn't have to. But in fairness and in the interest of transparency to the viewers out there, the listeners out there, my contemporaries in this business, and everybody else in between, had they asked me, I would have said the same thing that ESPN said. Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith together as partners, working across from each other on a debate show, is over. It's been over. And this is not the first time I've said it. There's no negativity or shade being thrown on Skip Bayless. I have moved on. When I arrived on First Take, it was courtesy of Skip Bayless. And for those out there who say who wants to say he saved my career, I got no problems with it. Because even though I was back by the time he asked me to come on First Take, I was restricted to radio. I wasn't allowed on television. And if it wasn't for Skip Bayless giving me the opportunity along with Jamie Horowitz, who knows where I'd be. Fair enough. But that time is a far cry from me being where I am today, where I've been for years, and also serving as the executive producer of First Take. Not to mention having my own platform here that I own and operate 100%. So I'm not throwing any shade or anything on Skip Bayless. I'll always have love for him. He'll always be a brother to me. But I'm not telling you anything that anybody hasn't heard me say before. I'm past all of that. I'm past all of that. And me connecting and reigniting things with Skip Bayless is not what I want my future to be. That was a past that I'll always celebrate and be appreciative of. But that ain't where I'm at now. I got bigger plans for myself that don't include him nor anybody else as a partner. I got bigger plans for myself in terms of what I do, what I want to do with my life. And one of these days, folks are going to learn to listen to me in terms of what I say about me, because I don't lie to y'all. Yes, first take, I'm here. But I told you I also wanted to produce content. I told you that I wanted to do a little acting. Think I'm on General Hospital by accident? The soap opera General Hospital. I'm on there. I have a recurring role. Character's name is Brick, surveillance expert for the mob. It's what I do. I told you I wanted to have my own platform. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show. I told you I wanted to produce content. I got a docuseries on ESPN Plus right now. I got a drama series that I've developed that you'll be hearing about in weeks. I got other content that I'm creating. You know what else I told y'all? I'm interested in new talent, discovering and developing.
So you heard Stephen A. Smith's comments on that. What are my thoughts? I like the fact that he was forthcoming with his feelings in terms of his willingness or unwillingness to work with Skip Bayless again in the future. So I like that. So you know exactly where he stands on the issue, and he basically shut that idea down and said, look, that's in the past. And he has bigger and better things that he's thinking about, essentially. But there was a part about it that seemed a little bit cold. Dare I speak? Some of it seemed a bit cold, like, I'm moving on, there's no way, and all of that, and blah, 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 blah. Personally, given the fact that him and Skip Bayless had a relationship, a work relationship, they call each other brothers, maybe he could have probably answered that question publicly in a more politically correct way, and then maybe behind the scenes, if him and Skip Bayless ever spoke or the idea was broached of them working together, he could probably tell him then what he thinks, what he just said publicly now, just to probably save him the embarrassment. Because now it just seemed like, damn, he shut him down. But, to be honest and to be fair, this is customarily how Stephen A. Smith speaks. He's unapologetic about his approach and what he thinks. He also said that he has other aspirations of going on to, becoming, I guess, his own network, where he gives other creators and personalities a chance to kind of, springboard their careers. He spoke about the fact that he wants to be in television, maybe in the late night capacity. He spoke about the fact that he wants to get into acting. I think he said he's producing a series on ESPN Plus. So Stephen A. Smith seems to be wanting to branch into the managerial aspect of sports media and not spend so much time in front of the camera, behind it. So I can understand that. After a while, you get tired of running that rat race, that you want to kind of take a step back and have others grow, and you kind of take a step back and let them grow, and then you're kind of managing the situation, from afar. I totally understand that. It's understandable. So overall, my takeaway from all of what he said is, look, if the idea were ever to be brought up, he would be against it. He stated so publicly. He has no interest in working with Skip. I'm sure if Skip called him, he would obviously take his phone call and talk to him. But on the other side of it, it just seemed a little bit harsh, especially given the fact that Skip Bayless has not publicly stated that he would like to come to ESPN. So Skip never said that publicly. So, maybe Stephen A. Smith could have said, hey, Skip has never brought this idea up to me, so I have no real response to it because it's not even a real thing. But Stephen A. Smith is his own man, as he said on multiple occasions, and he has the right to express himself however he likes, right? My thought here is that I like his honesty, but just a little bit harsh, but that's just the way I see it. So about 2 days ago, we produced a topic on our channel that was centered on some comments that Colin Cowherd, the volume of FS1, had to make about LeBron James and the Lakers deciding to draft Bronny James, and speaking about LeBron's influence over the Lakers and his pull and his power. Discussed Rich Paul, called out people by name, and it was something that surprised a lot of us because Colin Cowherd has been a longtime support and advocate of LeBron. He's been also a longtime hater of Michael Jordan. You just go look at some of his segments on First Things First. When Jason Whitlock was there, Marcellus Wiley was there, Chris Broussard used to make appearances on the show. He would always take shots at Jordan whenever he had an opportunity. So I kind of classified Colin as LeBron James guy, LeBron James supporter, right? So to hear him come out there and publicly speak the way that he did surprised me, and it surprised a lot of people that watched the show. So what happened? Recently, I saw him on that same show, and he was speaking to, the name of the podcast was called House of Straws. I think, I forgot I know his first name, Jonathan, his name is Ethan Straws, is the person that operates that podcast, that show. And they were basically discussing, he was basically asking Cowherd, like, look, these kind of positions that you're taking on LeBron James, on Nike and all of that, aren't you afraid to be taking these type of positions publicly because of the ramifications that may come with it? And Colin Cowherd essentially explained why he decided to call out LeBron James publicly after supporting him for so many years. So what we want to do now is want to play exactly what he had to say. It's not a very long clip. And then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
You sometimes on the TV, well, I thought today, the show you did today, felt a little bit risky to me, a little bit risque, where you were talking about how you think Nike might have had something to do with Jaylen Brown not getting on Team USA. I was fascinated hearing that take, Colin, and I was wondering, is that something at all where you have to go, wait, who are our sponsors? Is this going to result in any blowback? Do you have to almost just explore the potential ramifications of a take like that?
No, because I think I wasn't name calling. I wasn't unfair. Their stock is down 33% in 6 months. The Major League Baseball jersey fiasco is just a mess by a usually spot on company. I think the Olympic stuff is another mess. Phil Knight's 86 and has acknowledged that Oregon football is a primary focus, winning a natty, before time elapses for Phil, a visionary and a brilliant man who I really admire and like. I loved his memoir, by the way. And so I thought it was fair and reasonable. And my theme at the top of today's show, and Rich Paul and LeBron similarly, men love power, power corrupts. And I thought in both Nike's case with Jaylen Brown and Kyrie Irving, and LeBron and Clutch's case with Bronny being drafted, they got in the way of the natural flow of business. They could, and they had the leverage to, but it's always a dance. And both used the sledgehammer more than a softer touch. And they sort of engineered a different outcome. Bronny probably doesn't get drafted. Jaylen Brown should make the Olympic team. And that's the cautionary tale of power, is that men usually use it.
So you heard what Colin Cowherd had to say. Look, Colin Cowherd, I'm trying to figure out what Colin Cowherd's salary. Let me see, FS1 contract. Let me see. He signed. Let me see. Let me see how much Colin Cowherd was making, but I know he's making buku money working for FS1, right? I'm gonna assume he's making about. Let me see what Colin Cowherd is making. They're not really specifying it, but I know he's making millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he's one of the highest paid personalities in all of sports media. Given the fact that Colin Cowherd is a multimillionaire, he's also the owner of the volume. Why would you be afraid to give your view on anything? That's what I don't understand. Like, I can understand if, look, you know, I got to be careful about what I say. I don't want to jeopardize my dollars. I've never gotten my dollars. So therefore, I need to be careful because people may take away my money from me and I never got it. But in the case of Colin and so many of these other guys, these are multimillionaires, like multi-millionaires, earning millions and millions of dollars a year. So if you have financial freedom, why are you afraid to give your thoughts on any particular issue if it can't affect your bottom line? That's the part I don't understand. If you think of the Jaylen Brown thing when he was recorded during that game and then he came out there and said, I'm worth $300 million. What you saw me say on the sideline is what I thought at that moment. Why do I now need to come back and backtrack? Why? I'm worth $300 million. It's on a $300 million contract. Why do I feel this need to, I better not? Why? For what? Say what you believe, man. Say what you believe. So Colin is basically saying that, look, I'm saying what I'm saying because I believe it's fair, right? And to me, if he has an opinion and he wants to express it, I don't think his voice should be suppressed. I don't believe that, right? It's up to me to agree or disagree with him. It's not up to me to shut him down and say, no, look, you're not allowed to have that opinion because I don't believe in what you're saying and I think you're wrong. No, that's ridiculous. Now you're trying to silence and censor people, which I believe is wrong. Right? Which I believe is wrong. If he has that particular position on the situation that he mentioned in the audio with Nike and LeBron and all of those guys, he should be able to voice his opinion. Why should he be afraid of, oh, you shouldn't go out there and say that and all of this? I don't think any of that should be a factor. And all too often, unfortunately, it is a factor in sports media. And it's something that I just cannot understand. When made men and made women are afraid to speak their views when they're already multimillionaires, I don't get it. I just don't understand it. I just do not understand it. I guess, you know, hey, I got 10 million, 20 million, 25 million in the bank. I got another 15 million promised to me, and I don't want to lose out on that money. So I'm going to go ahead and just twerk it up on TV all over the place and just basically, you know, not say what I really believe. So to me, man, I mean, if that's the life that some people want to live, fantastic. Some people love living that way. Good for them. More power to them. It's just something that I can never do. And personally, I don't see anything wrong with Colin Cowherd expressing his views. ESPN recently published that embarrassment of a list of the top 100 athletes in the 21st century. It was an absolute sham of a list, right? An absolute sham. Let me see if I can even find that damn list. That was just a waste of time. ESPN top 100 athletes 21st century. Let me see if I can find this stupid list. I mean, it was just so stupid. I got to bring it up. So basically, the list was starting from the year 2000 onwards, right? And let's just go through some of the people that they had on this list. And number one, they had Michael Phelps at number one. Number two, they had Serena Williams. Number three, Messi. Number four, LeBron. Number five, Tom Brady. Number six, Roger Federer. Number seven, Simone Biles. Number eight, Tiger Woods. Number nine, Usain Bolt. And number 10, Kobe Bryant. Right? So that was the list. I thought it was one of the most ridiculous lists that's ever been produced. We produced a show about it. A lot of people concurred with me. And a lot of people have been destroying that list all over the internet ever since they published it. So what happened? ESPN basically threw out a problem and then decided to throw out the solution. So they put out a stupid list and then they reacted to it. Essentially, that's what happened yesterday. So yesterday, they produced a show where there was a panel discussing this list. And essentially, they were asking the question, are you okay with LeBron James being ranked higher than Tom Brady on the top 100 athletes in the 21st century? And when the first two gentlemen spoke, they said, no, it doesn't make any sense for LeBron to be ranked ahead of Tom Brady. But then came in Ryan Clark. And Ryan Clark did something I have never seen him do on television, which was basically sit up there and twerk it up all over the screen, knock over everybody's drinks, pour honey all over their desks, and just basically disturb the peace. He gave one of the most embarrassing takes I have ever seen anyone give on any topic ever. For those of you who did not hear the sheer madness that came out of Ryan Clark's mouth the other day, take a listen to what he had to say here, and then want to come back and react to this nonsense. Take a listen to Ryan Clark here.
Are you good with LeBron James being ranked ahead of the GOAT, Tom Brady?
No, I'm not, Christine. No, I'm not. Because when you talk about a guy in Tom Brady, 23 years in the National Football League, but he spent 20 of those years with one team, and he was able to win 6 Super Bowls. Now, he was able to go in his first year with this new team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and win a Super Bowl, his 7th one. That means something to me. The duration of time that he spent with the New England Patriots, with that one team, being able to win 6 Super Bowls in a sport where you have to count on other people to do their jobs. So if I'm Tom Brady, if I throw it out to the right and the guy's he's wide open and he drops it, Tom Brady looks bad. So does that wide receiver, but Tom Brady looks bad. When it comes to the NBA and basketball, I'm looking at a player, LeBron James, who's a physical specimen.
Monster.
And he's able to dictate a lot of things himself on a basketball court. Now, Tom was able to do it up to a certain extent, but if you're LeBron James and you only have 4 other players on your team and 5 on the other team, you can pretty much dictate a lot of things that go on within a basketball game, amongst a basketball game, I should say. With Tom Brady, he had to count on other people so much, but he was that dude that was feared for so long in the National Football League, so much so even in his 23rd year before he retired.
Yeah, I agree with that. The definition of greatness is making those around you better. And the fact that he was able to elevate his play and play with a lot of different people for different phases of his career, to me, is the definition of greatness. And look, taking nothing away from LeBron, one of the all-time greats, to me, he had to have the right supporting cast a couple different times to get to where he wanted to go as the champion. So, I don't know, 7 titles in 23 years, to me, I would have put Tom Brady even higher in that list.
What's Tom Brady's son name? Do y'all know? I don't know Tom Brady's son. You think Tom Brady was good enough to get his son drafted?
Man, you don't get out of here.
You think that? LeBron James. LeBron James.
He's not old enough.
So good at basketball. He's so good at basketball. And he old as hell, by the way, now, in basketball terms. 40-year-old LeBron James in December is so good at basketball, still changes the dynamic of an organization so much, still, that they drafted his son. That they said, we don't care if he had a cardiac arrest. We do not care if he averaged 4 points. We want you to stay here so bad. What you have done, what you continue to do, what you might do when you are 47 is so important to us. We're going to take this draft pick. We don't care if he's ever good. And not only are we going to do that, we're not even going to make him sign a 2-way. So we're going to gift him $5 million because you are so good. I agree with you. It is, and look at the list. Here's what's cool about the list. As it shrinks, right? As we get to number 1, the amount of people that it takes to accomplish a goal shrinks unless you've done amazing, astounding things. The reason there are not a ton of team guys in the top 10 is because they have help. Tom Brady is 1 of 21, right? And then I'm of 22. And then if you count special teams, 33, right? All of these people got to do things and they're subs and you have a coach and do this. Basketball ain't that. No. LeBron James, when he was in Cleveland the first time, they ain't not win a championship because of LeBron James. Ask the Celtics about Game 6. And then when he goes to Miami, they wasn't talk about not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, because LeBron James wasn't there. He was the one that got to take his talents to South Beach. And 2, I'm just going to go home and win a championship in a place that don't ever win championships.
This is what you
and beat the Golden State Warriors after being down 3-1. Then go to the bubble in L.A., and he didn't even want to play Mike Tannenbaum. The man didn't want to play in the bubble. And they won a championship there, too.
So you heard what Ryan Clark had to say. Absolute nonsense. When I was watching him, I was looking at him, his face, and I'm like, but is he really serious? Is he serious as he's saying what he's saying? I don't want to believe that Ryan Clark is actually serious. Folks, before I even get into the main point, let me just distill something down to you. Did you hear the first point he brought up about, oh, well, you know, who's Tom Brady's son? LeBron James. Let me just point something out to the people in the back. That point he just brought up about LeBron being able to get his son on an NBA team is a point that some LeBron fans will use, because these people have no shame, All they do is sit up there and twerk it up and sit in the corner and beat they meat next to a bucket of honey. That's all they do. That's all they do. As a matter of fact, I can almost assure you that the very first people to comment on this show is going to be a LeBron. It's these people, right? This is all they did basically running through the woods with their torches and just screaming and hollering all over the place and just scaring people, right? Disturbing the peace. Just total nuisances. They're going to use the point of, well, you see, LeBron was even so great, he was even able to get his son into the NBA, and his son is better than Michael Jordan's son, and that's why he's another reason. This is the mindset of a LeBron James zealot that is basically rummaging through the woods, just basically hollering and screaming about LeBron James. This is what they do. They be in the woods fighting bears for honey. They be getting into fist fights with bears for honey because they just need it. They got to rub it all over their chest to let you know how much they love LeBron. These are the people that we're dealing with. Now, we got that madness out of the way. Let's get to the absurdity of what he said. Anybody, anywhere making that assertion is just not even serious. Only a LeBron fan would be like, man, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Get the honey. This is what they would do. This is what they would do. Tom Brady has more individual championships than any NFL franchise. He won his 7th championship, I believe, in his 7th ring in his 40s. In his 40s. Let's get to the rest of the list. That was one of the stupidest lists that's ever been created. And it's not even close. Personally, I think the list should go as the following. Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Phelps or Bolt, or let's go, Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian in the history of sports, Usain Bolt, and at number 5, you can start thinking of people like maybe Floyd Mayweather or people like that. That's how it should have gone. Ronaldo is easily, when I say easily the most influential athlete in the 21st century by the widest of gaps. It's not even close. It's not even disputable. Ronaldo has won at every single level of the sport. He's won everything except the World Cup, which is the hardest thing to win, which is what Messi won. And it's one of the reasons people are now saying Messi is the greatest because he won the World Cup, right? He's won everything. In terms of influence, he's influenced hundreds of millions of people to want to play football. Hundreds of millions of people around the world, right? Then you want to just talk about his sheer popularity. Ronaldo is so popular. Cristiano Ronaldo is so popular and has so much influence that at one point there was a press conference when someone had a bottle of I think Diet Coke on the table. Diet Coke. And Ronaldo moved the glass bottle out of the camera frame because he didn't want to promote it and instead put up a bottle of water. Because he knew that if the bottle was next to him, Coca-Cola, it would look like he's endorsing it. He said, no, that's the Ronaldo. And do you know what happened subsequently after that? After Ronaldo removed that bucket of that bottle of Coca-Cola, their shares of the company dropped by 1.6% that afternoon, causing them to lose $4 billion just by him removing the Coke bottle off the table. I don't know, whatever American sports media has you thinking that somehow LeBron is this. LeBron and these Americans, they're not even in the same stretch. They're not even in the same universe with the Ronaldo. It's not even close. However popular you think these guys are, those guys are like 5 to 6 times more popular. It is not even a question. LeBron on Instagram has how many followers? 159 million followers. On Twitter, he has, or X or whatever, has 53 million followers. Ronaldo, just on Instagram, has 635 million followers. He's the most followed person on earth. On his Twitter account, he already has 112 million followers. Messi is at what? 500 million followers. So in terms of impact, reach, whatever, it's not even close. Only a fool would bring up that point. If we want to have a serious conversation about the most influential athletes in the last 100 years, this is what I think. You got Ronaldo, you got Messi, you got Phelps, You got the greatest athletes. You have Usain Bolt. I would put Floyd Mayweather in there. I'll put Michael Schumacher in there. I'll put Lewis Hamilton in there. If you don't know anything about Formula One and all these guys, then I can't excuse your lack of knowledge. That's on you. And then you can bring in maybe Kobe Bryant, of course, LeBron James, of course, and then you bring those guys in. But they should be at the bottom of that thing. The bottom of it. Those guys should be at the top. I think the only person worthy being in that top 5 is probably Floyd. Because all he did was be undefeated for decades. I mean, that's all he did. So, Ryan Clark, man, I don't know if you're ever going to see this show, bro. I don't got nothing against you personally. I don't know you. But in terms of a sports take, that was one of the most ridiculous. I mean, I know probably you were joking. Because I don't want to believe that you were actually serious making those, that LeBron. So what does that have to do with his greatness as an athlete compared to the next guy? We're talking about Michael Phelps, who was winning, who's the most decorated Olympian ever, and here you come talking about LeBron got it. So what does that have to do with anything? The only people that would think LeBron should, I got to be LeBron, because anyway, I'm not a Phelps fan and all of these guys. I'm just an objective observer who can open up a history book and know a little bit about sports history globally and be able to come up with this information. Like, I mean, come on. Like, but anyway,